If you are over 60, pause for a moment and listen closely. Every single minute, dozens of older adults around the world are diagnosed with dementia. In fact, more than 60 million people are currently living with this condition, and every 4 seconds, another new case is reported. This is not just a disease of aging. It has now become the 6th leading cause of death worldwide. But here is the frightening part. The real culprits that shrink the brain and damage memory are not only age or genetics. Sometimes, they may be hiding right inside your medicine cabinet. And millions of people over 60 take these pills every single day without realizing they might be quietly harming their brain. In this video, I will reveal the 10 most common medications, many of them prescribed millions of times a year, that science has linked directly to brain shrinkage, memory loss, and fast-progressing dementia. The list is ranked from the least suspected drug to the most dangerous one. Stay with me until the end, because the number 1 drug on this list is the hidden enemy of the aging brain. It is far more dangerous than any single pill on its own. And do not worry, at the end of this video, I will also share 3 natural remedies backed by scientific studies that may help protect your brain, preserve memory, and keep your mind sharp for years to come. So let's begin with number 10 on the list. This is a drug that almost every person over 60 has heard of, and many take it daily. Statins. These are some of the most commonly prescribed drugs to lower cholesterol and prevent heart attacks or strokes. Well-known names include Lipitor, Zocor, and Crestor. But what few people know is that while statins may protect the heart, they can also harm the brain. Cholesterol is often labeled as the villain, but the truth is, the brain needs a certain amount of it to function properly. In fact, about 1/4 of the body's cholesterol is found in the brain, where it plays a critical role in building and maintaining the myelin sheath, the protective layer around nerve fibers that help signals travel smoothly. When statins lower cholesterol too much, the brain may be left starving. This not only weakens the nerve protection, but it may also interfere with the production of key neurotransmitters such as serotonin and dopamine, which are essential for memory, mood, and learning. Many long-term statin users have reported what they call brain fog. This includes feeling mentally cloudy, forgetting familiar names, losing track of recent conversations, or even getting lost on familiar streets. A study published in 2023 in Frontiers in Aging Neuroscience found that people over 70 who took statins for more than 3 years had a 26% higher risk of mild cognitive impairment, and the risk was especially high for those on strong doses. Interestingly, another study in pharmacotherapy reported that up to 75% of patients who had memory problems showed significant improvement after stopping statins. This suggests that the negative effects of statins on the brain may be reversible if detected and managed early. The good news is that not all statins have the same effect. Drugs like pravastatin and rosuvastatin are less likely to cross the blood-brain barrier, so they are considered lower risk for memory problems. That is why, if you have been on statins for many years and start noticing unusual forgetfulness, confusion, or mental fog, do not dismiss it as just normal aging. It is time to talk to your doctor. Reducing the dose, switching to a lower-risk statin, or exploring alternative treatments may help protect both your heart and your brain. Remember, taking action early can make a huge difference. Do not wait until the damage becomes irreversible, because memory health is the key to staying sharp and independent as you age. Now let's move on to number 9. This is a group of drugs often advertised as gentle on the stomach, but the truth is, they may quietly starve your brain. These are proton pump inhibitors, also called PPIs. Familiar names like Prilosec, Nexium, or Protonix are found in the medicine cabinets of millions of older adults. They are prescribed for heartburn, acid reflux, or stomach ulcers. Many people take them for years, even decades, because symptoms quickly return once they stop. But what few people realize is that PPIs may cause much more serious problems than just stomach discomfort. When PPIs suppress stomach acid too strongly, the body struggles to absorb key nutrients the brain needs, such as vitamin B12, magnesium, and calcium. Vitamin B12 is especially vital for memory, focus, and mood. A deficiency can lead to confusion, forgetfulness, and even nerve damage. Magnesium and calcium are also essential for nerve signaling, and without enough, brain cells may function poorly, leading to mental fog and memory lapses. A major 2016 study published in JAMA Neurology tracked more than 73,000 people age 75 and older. The results showed that those who used PPIs regularly had a 44% higher risk of dementia compared to non-users. Some studies even suggest that PPIs may increase the buildup of amyloid beta plaques in the brain, the toxic protein widely believed to drive Alzheimer's disease. What makes this even more dangerous is how quietly it starts. You might think you are just a little sluggish after a meal or slightly forgetful. But sometimes, the real cause is not the food you ate. It is the acid reflux pill you took before it. The good news is, safer options do exist. If you need to take PPIs daily, talk with your doctor about gradually lowering the dose or switching to H2 blockers such as famotidine, often sold under the name Pepcid. While not perfect, this class of drugs has fewer effects on memory. Some natural remedies like D-glycyrrhizinated licorice may also help soothe the stomach without harming the brain. And remember, not every over-the-counter drug is harmless. Many people believe that if a medication does not require a prescription, it must be safe. But that is not always true. Which brings us to number 8 on the list. Number 8 is first-generation antihistamines, and the most common one is diphenhydramine, better known as Benadryl. This small pink pill is cheap, widely available without a prescription, and may already be sitting in your nightstand. Millions of people use it to fall asleep, ease nasal allergies, or calm a cold. It may sound harmless, but its effects on the brain are anything but small. Inside the brain, Benadryl acts like a roadblock. It blocks the neurotransmitter acetylcholine, which works like a messenger helping brain cells communicate with each other. When you are young, you may not notice much. But as you age, the brain depends more and more on the remaining supply of acetylcholine. And when this signal is blocked, memory fades, focus declines, and over time, the risk of brain shrinkage increases. A study published in JAMA Internal Medicine found that older adults who took strong anticholinergic drugs daily for just 3 years had a 54% higher risk of dementia. Another study in the Journal of Cognitive Health and Aging in 2023 confirmed a similar level of risk. What makes this even more concerning is that it often starts subtly. Forgetting an appointment, misplacing your keys, or struggling to focus in a conversation. Many people mistake these signs as normal aging, when in fact, they may be early warning signals from the brain. The important thing to know is that you do have safer options. If you are taking diphenhydramine for allergies, talk to your doctor about alternatives that are gentler on the brain, such as loratadine, often sold as Claritin. This drug does not cross into the brain and is considered more memory-friendly for long-term use. And remember, whether prescription or over-the-counter, you should never stop medication suddenly without medical guidance. And that was only an allergy pill that may seem harmless. But even more concerning are medications prescribed millions of times for sleep and anxiety, which may also quietly be putting your memory to sleep. Number 7 is benzodiazepines. This is a well-known group of drugs that many people over 60 have heard of, and some still use daily. Names like Valium, Ativan, and Xanax can bring quick relief by calming you down, reducing anxiety, and helping you sleep. At first, they may feel like a life raft for the mind. But over time, that life raft can turn into a weight that drags the brain down. The way benzodiazepines work is by boosting the effect of GABA, a neurotransmitter that slows brain activity. In the short term, this helps you relax and fall asleep. But with long-term use, the brain resists being slowed down all the time. The result is memory problems, slower reflexes, and even structural changes in the brain. A 2022 study published in BMJ followed more than 8,000 older adults for 6 years. It found that those who took benzodiazepines for more than 3 months had a 51% higher risk of Alzheimer's disease. The risk was especially high with long-acting drugs like diazepam because they accumulate in fatty tissues, including the brain. Older adults who have taken benzodiazepines for years often describe living in a mental fog. They feel detached, with fragmented memory, flat emotions, and a sense that they are no longer themselves. Others report daytime fatigue, slower reactions, and trouble keeping up in conversations, often dismissing it as just aging. In reality, it may be a sign that the brain is being affected by the drug. The hardest part is that when people try to stop, they often experience withdrawal symptoms such as insomnia, anxiety, and restlessness. This makes them believe they need the medication, when in fact, the drug itself may be the root of the problem. The important thing to remember is this. If you have been taking benzodiazepines for more than a few weeks, never stop suddenly. That can be very dangerous. Always work closely with your doctor to taper down gradually. There are also safer alternatives, such as buspirone, an anti-anxiety medication that does not cause drowsiness, or cognitive behavioral therapy to improve sleep and manage anxiety. These options can help you regain peace of mind without sacrificing your memory. And benzodiazepines are not the only sedatives that harm memory. Some sleeping pills may seem modern and gentle, yet they quietly disrupt the brain's natural sleep cycles. These are the so-called Z-drugs. Number 6 is the Z-drug class of sleep medications. As we get older, sleep often becomes a nightly battle. Many turn to pills such as zolpidem, known as Ambien, esopicolone, sold as Lunesta, or Zaleplon, sold as Sonata, hoping for a full night of rest. On the surface, they seem like a quick and effective fix, but behind the convenience is a heavy cost for memory and brain health. Z-drugs work by slowing brain activity, mimicking the brain's natural sleep chemistry. However, this mechanism disrupts the brain's internal clock. Normally, during sleep, the brain cycles through different stages, including deep sleep and REM sleep. These are critical phases when the brain clears waste, consolidates memories, and restores mental energy. When Z-drugs interfere, this process is broken. The result is that you may sleep 7 or 8 hours, but your brain does not get real rest. Even worse, Z-drugs carry a long list of side effects. They can cause confusion, morning brain fog, sleepwalking, and in some cases, even driving while asleep with no memory of it afterward. In older adults, These side effects are especially dangerous as they increase the risk of falls, injuries, and loss of independence. A large study published in the British Medical Journal found that older adults who used Z-drugs had a much higher risk of dementia and accidents due to impaired alertness. Many patients reported frequently forgetting simple things, such as familiar names, where they placed objects, or even the route back home. This is not just a bad night's sleep. It is a sign that the brain is struggling after being sedated night after night. The good news is, safer alternatives do exist. If you depend on sleeping pills, talk with your doctor about other options, such as low-dose melatonin or cognitive behavioral therapy for insomnia. Also known as CBTI. This method is scientifically proven to improve natural sleep without harming memory. Sleep is the foundation of memory. But as we have seen, not every sleeping pill is a friend to the brain. Now let's turn to another common group of drugs. These are not related to sleep, but to a very sensitive issue: the bladder. Number 5 is bladder control medications. These drugs are often prescribed for people with overactive bladder or urinary incontinence, a condition that can be inconvenient and even embarrassing in daily life. Common medications in this group include oxybutynin, sold as ditropin, tolterodine, sold as Detrol, and solifenacin, sold as Vesicare. They may reduce the constant urge to urinate, but at the same time, they pose a serious risk to memory. Just like Benadryl, these bladder medications belong to the Anticholinergic family, which means they block acetylcholine, the neurotransmitter that plays a critical role in forming memories and staying mentally sharp. What makes it especially concerning is that oxybutynin easily crosses the blood-brain barrier and directly affects the hippocampus, the part of the brain most responsible for storing memories. When this process is disrupted, both short-term memory and emotional balance can suffer. A 2019 study published in BMJ found that adults over 65 who took oxybutynin for more than a year had a 49% higher risk of dementia, nearly 1 in 2 people. On top of that, research at the University of California, San Francisco, reported that users of these drugs had noticeably smaller brain volumes and performed worse on memory tests compared to non-users. Scientists even observed actual brain shrinkage in areas linked to learning and memory. The serious problem is that most patients are never warned. They are simply told the medication will help with bladder control without knowing it may speed up cognitive decline. Symptoms are often mistaken for normal aging, such as missing appointments, misplacing belongings, or having trouble following a conversation. By the time it is recognized, the damage is already deeper. The good news is, you do not have to stay on these medications to manage bladder problems. Newer options are available, such as mirabegron, sold as Mirbatric, which works through a different mechanism, does not block acetylcholine, and has been shown to have much less impact on memory. In addition, behavioral strategies and lifestyle changes can also improve overactive bladder without harming the brain. Bladder control drugs can quietly steal your mental clarity, but just as concerning, another class of widely prescribed medications for depression and insomnia carries a dangerous hidden side for memory. Number 4 is tricyclic antidepressants, often called TCAs. Names like amitriptyline, sold as Elavil, or doxepin are familiar to many older adults. They are often prescribed for depression, insomnia, chronic pain, or even migraines. At first glance, they may look like versatile drugs. But in reality, TCAs are among the strongest anticholinergic medications still in use today. This means TCAs block the action of acetylcholine, the neurotransmitter that helps brain cells communicate and form memories. The aging brain is already more sensitive to declining acetylcholine, which makes TCAs especially risky. The result is memory erosion, weaker concentration, and over time, symptoms that can look very much like the early stages of dementia. A large 2015 study published in JAMA Internal Medicine followed more than 3,400 adults age 65 and older for 10 years. It found that those with a high cumulative use of anticholinergic drugs, such as amitriptyline, had a 54% higher risk of dementia. That is not a small increase. That is more than half above normal risk. Even more troubling, the damage builds up silently with no clear warning. At first, it may just look like forgetfulness, trouble finding words, or mental fog. Many dismiss it as aging, but in fact, it may be the hidden effect of the drug. The good news is that today, safer options are available. For nerve pain, medications like duloxetine or gabapentin can ease discomfort with less impact on memory. For insomnia, melatonin or low-dose doxepin, much lighter than the antidepressant dose, may be considered. And for depression, newer medications such as sertraline or escitalopram are generally thought to be more brain-friendly. Tricyclic antidepressants can quietly erode memory. But there is another class of drugs that may be even more dangerous because many older adults do not even realize they are taking them. These are antipsychotics. Number 3 is antipsychotic drugs. Originally, this class was developed to treat severe mental illnesses such as schizophrenia and bipolar disorder. Familiar names include quetiapine, sold as Seroquel, risperidone, sold as Risperdal, and olanzapine, sold as Zyprexa. But nowadays, they are often prescribed off-label to older adults simply for sleep problems, agitation, or behavioral issues related to dementia. At first, this may sound reasonable, but in reality, it is one of the most harmful medical decisions. A major 2022 study published in The Lancet Healthy Longevity followed more than 25,000 older adults. Within just 12 months, those prescribed antipsychotics for behavioral control had a 71% higher risk of severe cognitive decline. Even if they had no signs of dementia before, their mechanism of action is harsh. These drugs suppress dopamine, the neurotransmitter responsible for motivation, mood, and memory, while also altering serotonin levels in the brain. When dopamine and serotonin are disrupted, the brain slows down, emotions flatten, and patients gradually lose responsiveness. This is why many people on antipsychotics appear tired, detached, or even lifeless. Families often describe the heartbreak of seeing their loved one physically present, but mentally fading away. And the damage does not stop there. These drugs also raise the risk of stroke, sudden death, falls, hospitalizations, and long-term dependence. In fact, the U.S. Food and Drug Administration has placed a black box warning, the strictest warning possible, on this class of drugs, especially for older adults with dementia. The tragedy is that many families have no idea their loved one's decline is being fueled by the little pill prescribed to them daily. They only see the changes and assume it is natural aging. The solution is to ask a direct question. Is this medication truly necessary? In many cases, agitation or confusion can be managed without drugs through regular routines, reducing noise, managing pain, improving lighting, or supporting healthy sleep. And if medication is absolutely needed, using a lower dose for a shorter time can greatly reduce harm. And it is not just powerful sedatives like antipsychotics that put memory at risk. Even some modern antidepressants can quietly chip away at mental sharpness. One of the most notable is paroxetine. Number 2 is paroxetine, commonly known as Paxil. This is an antidepressant in the SSRI family, often prescribed for anxiety or depression. Hearing SSRI, many people assume it must be modern and safer than older drugs, but Paxil is different. It is the only SSRI with strong anticholinergic activity. That means it interferes with acetylcholine, the neurotransmitter that works like the phone line connecting brain cells. When acetylcholine is blocked, signals cannot travel smoothly, memory becomes fuzzy, and concentration declines. While other SSRIs, such as Zoloft, also known as sertraline, or Lexapro, also known as escitalopram, have little effect on memory, Paxil places a significant burden on the brain. A 2021 study in Frontiers in Psychiatry showed that within just the first 12 months, older adults taking Paxil faced higher risks of short-term memory loss. They struggled to recall familiar names, forgot words in conversation, and lost focus even during simple activities like reading the newspaper or following a TV program. The risk was 30% higher compared to those taking other antidepressants. In practical terms, if 10 older adults were put on Paxil, at least 3 of them would soon develop dementia-like symptoms, simply because of this one medication. The irony is that Paxil is often prescribed to stabilize mood, but it can weaken the brain instead, leading to both cognitive and emotional imbalance over time. The American Geriatrics Society has even listed Paxil in the Beers criteria, meaning it is considered inappropriate for older adults. If you or a loved one are taking Paxil, do not delay. Ask your doctor about safer options such as Zoloft or Lexapro. In addition, supplementing with B vitamins, especially B12 and B6, has been shown to naturally support mood and protect memory without harming the brain. But the greatest danger does not come from one drug like Paxil. It comes from the cumulative effect of many anticholinergic drugs taken together, and that is the hidden enemy of memory. Number 1 on this list is anticholinergic burden. This is not a single drug, but the buildup effect when the brain is exposed to multiple anticholinergic medications at the same time. This can happen in 2 ways. The first is polypharmacy. An older adult may take diphenhydramine for sleep, oxybutynin for bladder control, and amitriptyline for pain. Each drug alone may only cause mild fogginess, but combined, the cholinergic burden skyrockets. The second way is combination products or treatment regimens. For example, a cold medicine containing diphenhydramine mixed with a decongestant, a digestive medication with scopolamine and atropine, or even a muscle relaxant like cyclobenzaprine. The patient often has no idea they are loading their brain with multiple anticholinergic compounds at once. The problem here is the cumulative effect. When acetylcholine, the neurotransmitter critical for memory and alertness, is blocked from multiple directions, the brain does not just slow down. It actually begins to degenerate. Synapses shrink, neurons wither, and the brain slips into a state much like Alzheimer's disease. The science is clear. An analysis of more than 280,000 older adults, published in Age and Aging in 2022, found that those with the highest cholinergic burden had a 120% greater risk of dementia within just 10 years. Another study following more than 3,400 people for a decade, published in JAMA Internal Medicine, showed that even years after stopping the drugs, those with heavy past exposure still had a 54% higher risk of dementia. The most dangerous part is how quietly it happens. It may begin as mild forgetfulness, missed appointments, or difficulty focusing, easily mistaken for normal aging. But in reality, these may be the early waves of damage from accumulating anticholinergic burden. The good news is that this can be prevented and in some cases even reversed. The first step is to review every medication you take, including prescriptions, over-the-counter drugs, and even supplements. Today, there are online tools and professional software that can calculate your anticholinergic burden. Once identified, your doctor and pharmacist can work with you to make a plan. This may include lowering doses, discontinuing unnecessary drugs, or switching to safer alternatives. Many patients who reduced their anticholinergic load regained clarity, memory, and energy within weeks or months. The brain has a powerful ability to heal, but only if we give it the chance. This is the #1 threat, but also the golden opportunity to protect memory. By simply reviewing your medications, you are already taking the most important step toward long-term brain health. And beyond these hidden dangers, there are also natural, simple ways to support brain recovery and preserve memory. After seeing the risks of medication, let's end with a more positive message. Many studies have shown that certain natural foods can protect the brain, reduce inflammation, and help slow memory decline. #1 is blueberries. These berries are rich in anthocyanins, often called superfoods for the brain. They fight oxidative stress, much like rust eating away at brain cells, and have been shown to improve memory in just weeks of daily use. #2 is fatty fish, such as salmon, sardines, and mackerel. They supply omega-3s, especially DHA, an essential building block of the brain. Regular fish consumption not only lowers the risk of Alzheimer's, but also slows the progression of existing memory decline. #3 is leafy greens, like kale and spinach. They are loaded with vitamin K, lutein, and folate, nutrients that can turn back the clock on brain aging, helping preserve memory and mental sharpness over the long term. Now we want to hear from you. Among these medications, are you or your loved ones currently taking any? Have you noticed memory changes, brain fog, or shifts in mood since starting a new drug? And have you tried adding certain foods to your diet to protect your brain and stay sharp? Share your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. We read everyone, and we truly look forward to hearing from you. Thank you for watching.